Hey everyone, what's up? We didn't talk about it, but I kind of feel like I don't need to talk about it because everyone saw what they saw. My only gripes are this: people are acting like Ortiz was Willie Pep or someone in that ring, like he was a Floyd Mayweather or something. He was effectively frustrating Teofimo Lopez, who we all saw cannot cut off the ring, and really seems to not have any knowledge of fighting a southpaw whatsoever. He did beat Lomachenko, but Lomachenko has a very passive-aggressive style. And we've seen even against guys like Salido, Loma will give up like 7 or so rounds. In this case, because Ortiz, I don't want to call it a robbery. If I were to give somebody the win, I would give it to Ortiz, but I don't necessarily feel it was a robbery. You know what I'm saying? I think Teo did land the best punches in the fight. As far as ring generalship and things of that nature, defense, you got to give Ortiz the edge in that department. But at the same token, instead of, let's say, making Teofimo walk into a trap, even walking into jabs, which he could have done all night, he didn't even do that sort of basic thing when it came to offense. So now you're in a predicament where you have to, where both guys aren't really offensively successful on who you want to give it to. In this case, due to the boxing criteria, yes, Jamaine Ortiz deserved the victory. But also in this case, given that performance and giving the position you were in, the house fighter is Teofimo Lopez. You should have did more and left more in the ring. You know what I'm saying? To really secure a victory. And I can see if I'm a business and I need to rely on a guy, Jamaine Ortiz, or if I'm going to rely on the showman, in this case, they were doing a lot of comparisons to Roy Jones and things like that. I think he falls more in line of the Prince Nassim type showman, and we're talking about borderline clown, although I didn't think Nassim was a clown at all. Many people did, but I was always highly entertained by Prince Nassim Hamed. You know what I'm saying? But you fall more into that category. But of course, they're going to go with Teofimo Lopez. I don't see the outrage. And again, it's not like what's his name was Willie Pep in there, or a Floyd Mayweather who would easily counter opponents, make them pay when they make mistakes. Jamaine Ortiz just didn't do that. I saw maybe a handful of check rights that he could have landed all night. And again, let's take away the check right. You understand? You could have had this guy walking into a jab all night. So you were that kind of, I don't want to say scared, but apprehensive. You know what I'm saying? And I just can't, we know that Willie Pep won rounds without even throwing punches. Unfortunately, I just can't give you that type of, success when you're not really in there to truly win. He did have the right game plan, but the only shortcoming was, again, you're not even making Teofimo Lopez really pay. And I'm one of those guys, I'm more so fall into the line of boxing purists, but at the same token, I'm also into the hurt business aspect of boxing. I don't just score rounds to people who walk forward and not successfully land clean punches, but neither guy was really landing clean punching. You know what I'm saying? So I can't give either or really wholeheartedly the effective aggressor or whatever else, or, ring generalship, because neither guy's really landing clean punches. Like I said, Teo, he did kind of land the best punches in the fight and things like that, but I definitely understand it. I'd be a hypocrite and say that I didn't see it coming by the end of the fight as well. That was just a business decision by Top Rank. Jamaine Ortiz, he doesn't really have the necessary attributes to put crowds in the seats. Not that Teofimo does as well. Teofimo's still a theater fighter for the most part. I get it. I get, the outrage. And you also got to consider Teofimo was rubbing people the wrong way on the lead up to the fight. And even after the fight, where he was calling people in the crowd humans and telling them, to be quiet or whatever else he was doing. It was definitely bizarre, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do want to say this. Teofimo we talked about this, and we even talked about it in our prediction video. And Ortiz even said this himself, which I thought was weird, but he said that if you can get to his mind, you can get to his heart. And we basically told you the same thing in the prediction video. Now he didn't go, there is some kind of, maturity that he's reached, Teofimo Lopez. He didn't totally, completely deconstruct like we've seen him do before, like we did versus Cambosis or whatnot. He has matured a little bit. There was some gain there at least. But at the same token, again, what's his name was just too passive. He did not go in there to really win. Even if you were making Teofimo frustrated and, your defense, whatever else, you were winning in those categories. You had the best case for those categories. But as far as clean punching and everything else, again, you're too defensively minded. It's like when you play chess, you can be too defensive, and it's going to affect you on winning. Again, scoring criteria, sure, Ortiz won. I mean, I don't have a problem saying that. But at the same token, you didn't really try to win, and you weren't really in there trying to win. You know what I'm saying? You just had to put more on the offensive side to really garner the victory, in my opinion. But I was going to say this, Teofimo Lopez, he's still somewhat of a mental midget. He's still whatever. I know a lot of people are going on him hard or whatnot. But, he still has issues. And I was going to bring this up before the fight. I did 2 videos that day. I didn't feel like doing a third video. I rarely come out in 3 videos a day, let alone 3 videos a week, guys, if you pay attention. But he was on ayahuasca trips and mushrooms. You know what I'm saying? I think that's on Cigar Boxing or Cigar Sports. I forgot the name of the channel, but I was watching and I was like, yeah, this dude's definitely lost. He was being all philosophical and things on the build-up. And right when I saw the clown opening to the ring walk, I was just like, oh, here we go. I knew this was not going to turn out good more and more as I started to see more information on the build-up. In our prediction video, we thought that Jamaine Ortiz was going to fight more so how he normally does because he likes to put his punches together more. You know what I'm saying? And in the case of this fight, he wasn't even really again, making Teofimo Lopez pay for his mistakes and things like that. Like I said, I only saw a handful of check rights being landed by Ortiz. I saw a few, again, handful of straight lefts. Even in sequences when Teo was baiting this guy to come in, and that's when he would let his hands go, they showed you the next round during the replay, he wasn't really landing. You know what I'm saying? That just means you were fighting too timid and too scared. You know what I'm saying? Apprehensive. I guess scared is too strong a word. But Teofimo, he's definitely just a mental midget. He's had issues. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his dad. Again, guys, if you're going on ayahuasca trips, which are psychedelics, and you're seeing a shaman and you're having these spiritual experiences, and you guys know how I feel about that stuff, there's something definitely wrong. Again, turning to psychedelics, whether it's shrooms or ayahuasca, that's not a good thing. So that was red flag number 1. I was going to speak on it. Red flag number 2, again, you're trying to be the showman, things like that, more so than your boxing craft. You're speaking about how as long as it's fun and things like that, you enjoy the sport. But we've seen you retire twice. You're just, and they even said this before the thing, you're up and down like a roller coaster. You know what I'm saying? As far as the Terrence Crawford fight, we already said this. It's not even worth talking about. Mentally, you're not anywhere near Terrence Crawford. People, they don't understand that the mental is far more important than the physical when it comes to the sport of boxing. And Crawford, unlike a Jamaine Ortiz, he's going to really make you pay. Unlike Lomachenko even, who's a very timid fighter, in my opinion as well, very passive-aggressive, Crawford's not. It's going to be slow at first. You know what I'm saying? Once he has down all that you really have, which is a left hook, your athleticism, perhaps some few shots to the bodies with your straight right and things like that. Once he has your little moveset down, I mean, from there, it's just like a crescendo. It's like a boulder rolling off a mountain, and it just gains more momentum. momentum as the fight goes on. And Crawford is just going to be a terror for a guy like Teofimo Lopez, and I don't even think I need to explain that. I know boxing channels like Punch Drunk, again, the dude who has, I don't know what it is, he really identifies as, you know, with Latin fighters and things like that, although he's darker than most of these guys on YouTube, even guys on the LDBC. I just don't understand that aspect. You know, he's over here talking about Crawford ducking Tio. I know he's changed his tune today. And a lot of these guys that were riding that bandwagon, again, I know Teofimo, they really like his mouthpiece and how he can sell the fight and everything, but we've talked about this when it's come to fighters like even Keith Thurman. You don't really have a platform. You're still a theater fighter, so again, I don't even think it makes sense money-wise, you know what I'm saying? For Top Rank or whoever would be hosting that fight. And then you have that performance, of course, that it's not going to help either. People aren't going to believe that Teofimo Lopez, at least sane people aren't going to believe that Teofimo Lopez has a chance. Now, I know that, you know, you can't do a triangle theory in boxing or whatever else they say. And yeah, maybe he will be more hyped and mentally ready for a guy like Crawford. He was kind of overlooking Ortiz, whatever you guys want to say. But I mean, it ends the same way. I would be surprised if that fight goes past the 6th round. You know what I'm saying? Teofimo Lopez, again, he's got athleticism, gifts like that, but he doesn't really have the boxing acumen and IQ to even be in the same room as a Terrence Crawford. And you got to understand, this is a kid who basically has better legacy and accomplishments than 10-year pros such as Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, and Errol Spence and guys like that. But again, there are levels in this sport, and you're just not going to be a realistic threat. Not saying that anything can't happen in the sport of boxing. I've seen Crawford get clipped and caught. You know what I'm saying? But your catch and shoot, your flat-footedness, and your inability to, once again, fighting Jamaine Ortiz is one thing, but again, you're going to be fighting a real switch hitter. You're talking about, you know, one of the best switch hitters of all time, and a guy who's very, very devastating, a guy who's in there for the hurt business, a technical guru, and a guy who's in there to hurt you. It's just something that boxing, it just doesn't exist much anymore in the sport of boxing. There are maybe a few guys who have the boxing acumen of a Terrence Crawford, and they have the old school mindset of the hurt business. That's all I got to say for now. Again, I know Teofimo has rubbed people the wrong way. You know, he's just doing what he can to sell fights and make money and whatever else, you know. He's got to build his brand. You know, I don't really look too much into him trying to quote philosophy, Bruce Lee, you know, and even race baiting, which is what he's been doing to kind of sell and get attention on the fight. It is sad. I wish Jamaine Ortiz, because that was a horrible fight to watch, regardless. But, I think Jamaine Ortiz definitely should have did more. People can say if I'm biased for T.O. or not. I don't really care. I really don't. That was a horrible fight on both guys' account. You understand. Even Jamaine Ortiz, he typically, again, he does the Sean Porter, Keith Thurman type fight style. He'll throw 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. You understand. He rarely did that in that fight at all. And I think if he would have definitely, without a question, would have gotten the nod from the judges. But again, you weren't even doing little things like even making this guy walk into a jab all night, let alone only landing a few check hooks. So, as far as T.O., we'll see what's going on. There are other fights. Devin Haney's fighting Ryan Garcia. We'll see how that matchup goes. We'll talk about that in the future. There's a few fights to talk on, but we will talk to you guys later, all right? That's all I got to say about the matter. Bye.